Are you?
Yes, I have a question about number 19.
Go ahead.
I'm not sure who is answering that question. I assume
Do we have the county council? There is.
Okay. And the question is, how do we not have potential for conflict of interest with this contract?
Yes.
Does the panel the city attorney has retained to defend itself on development issues is on the kinds of cases they can handle otherwise in their practice? So there's some concern that's been expressed to me that the people we hire may then, working for us, learn our legal strategies and then later decide to work for developers or have worked for developers in the past and return to that activity.
So good morning, Assistant City Attorney Tim McWilliams, and I can respond to that. So, as with the case when anybody hires an attorney, that attorney is obligated under ethical rules to disclose any conflict of interest that they have at that point in time. And so certainly that has taken place, first of all. Secondly, throughout the relationship we have with these outside firms, if a conflict materializes during that relationship, they're obligated to disclose that to us. And if a conflict arises, we have the option of either waiving that conflict, which requires that we come back to you and present that to you for a waiver, or not waiving it. If it's not waived, then that firm would have to stop representing the city. So I don't know if that answers the question fully.
It answers it in some circumstances. What if a firm worked for us and then decided, okay, now we know the city's process and their approach. Now we can turn around and represent developers. Do we have anything in our contract that prevents that in any way?
No. If someone goes to work for the city representing the city, we don't have them contractually bound to forever thereafter, even after they're no longer working for the city, not represent developers. No, that's not in the contract.
Could we ask?
But there is an ongoing obligation since once they represent the city, even though they no longer represent us at some point in the future, there's a continuing obligation, ethical obligation, to not be adverse to the city on matters in which, while they were working for the city, they learned information that they could then use against the city. If that situation arises, they'd still have to come back to us and request a waiver.
So would that be true even if it applied just to the city's general legal approach and strategy as opposed to just one specific case?
I'm not sure I fully understand the question.
Well, the question is, I'm sure the city has some legal strategies that we apply not just in one particular case, but a general approach. And a firm having worked for us would have more of a sense of how we operate and could use
Correct.
that to our disadvantage if they then moved on to represent developers.
Correct. So the ethical obligation still exists. If they learned information while representing us, including the way we do business, our legal strategies, if they learned that, they can't thereafter use that against the city without getting a waiver from the city.
And presumably attorneys would not take that chance in terms of their future success as a firm to violate that.
Well, presumably not, because if the city on our own recognizes that conflict situation has arisen, if they haven't disclosed it to us, we have the ability to raise it ourselves, and certainly we assume that they have an interest in protecting their reputation, as you say.
But other than that, we've put that kind of firewall presumably into our contract in terms of conflicts of interest that we can spot at the time.
Right. That actually doesn't need to be in the contract. Those are ethical rules that every attorney in the country and certainly within the state has to abide by, even if it's not in the contract.
Very good. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, let's prepare to vote. Let's open the. Okay, let's prepare to vote on this item. It's already been taken up in committee. Public comment has been satisfied. Let us open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
Okay, I'm going to call Mr.